Hey guys, how's it going? Let me set up this room real quick and then we can get started. So today is March 21st. Wow, this month's almost done. It's crazy. This year is like flying by super quick. So let me just get this set up real quick. Once we're set up, I'll send out the link and then we can, get started. So other than that, let me get this set up real quick. Give a few minutes for it to set up and then we can get to these charts. All right, got that done. Set this up right here. Get this on the social media. Let's see, Facebook, Instagram, etc. All right, got that set up there. I'm currently inside the scalp right here, guys. So I don't know if you guys want to take it. It's a bit of a risky trade right now because the market is just opening, but I am in the scalp for this this US 30 snipe scalp. Reason for entering this trade is that we have a rejection off the pivot right here and structure, and it provided for a buy entry right over here. So I'm currently in this trade. I don't know if I'm going to hold it to full TP. I might close out, once it's partially in profit, but I'll see how it moves from there. As you guys can see right here, I'm currently in that position for that buy. I'm in profit about 155 right now, so it's not too much. Market's moving slow, so I'm not expecting much of it right now, but I am in it, so I'll be following it, and I'll be letting you guys know, how everything moves from there. But other than that, I think we'll see where this ends up going. So let me just post this link up real quick, send this out to you guys over here in the Telegram. So I think that's good right there. Send this out to our social media. Let's get this over here real quick too. Chart analysis. And I'll send you guys a Zoom link shortly, guys. Give me a second. I'm just finished sending this out to you guys. And I will be sending the Zoom link shortly. Make sure I send out the right link. 21st, ever good. All right, let me just post this up on the Facebook real quick. All right, perfect. Looks like we're good right there. All right, lastly, let's get this on the Instagram real quick, and then we should be good. I'll send you guys a Zoom link shortly. Give me 1 second. All right, got that on the social media. Looks like we're good to go. Let me grab the Zoom link and I'll send it over to you guys here in the premium. If you guys decide to, join in on this for the scalps that we'll be looking for. Link. All right. There we go. All right, guys, cool. Everything is it's good to go right now. All right, guys, everyone's joining in right now. So I'll give you guys some time to hop into this. And then we'll get started. So yeah, I'm currently in the scalp right now. Looks like Trell, you're in this trade too as well, right? So I was kind of hesitant on taking this trade, but I decided to take it anyways, just to kick off the trading week, obviously. So yeah, if you guys want to join in on this scalp right here, you guys can. It's like right at entry, but I would recommend taking a smaller lot size just to to kick off the week, because the week is gonna. I mean, the market's gonna start picking up probably around London session, so it's probably gonna move slow from now until, let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, in about 5 hours. So in about 5 hours, volatility will pick up, and that'll either spike price in our direction or in the opposite. So we'll see how that plays out. But anyways, looks like people are slowly making their way into this room. Check the chat real quick, see what's going on over here. Hey, Vidad, how's it going? Hey, Short Scene. Hey, Hamizan. Hey, Neptune. Hey, John. Hey, T-Got. Hey, Alan. Hey, everybody. So hopefully you guys had a great weekend. I wasn't on the charts at all this weekend. So if you guys send me some messages or emails, I probably just got to you just now. Or if I haven't gotten to you yet, I will be getting to you guys. But yeah, I did take a step away from the charts this weekend because, we had such a great week last week that I didn't want to go mess it up, taking some dumb trades, early on. So I'm currently in the scalp right here, guys. The reason why I took the scalp here was that I used the K2 snipe strategy. Obviously right here for this red candle, we have a rejection off the pivot and the structure, and that's why I enter this buy right here. Yeah, I'm currently in it right now, and it's currently pending. I mean, it's not pending. I'm currently in it. It's currently active. It's just bouncing around entry point. So I'll be holding on to it, and I'll see where this plays out from there. But we'll continue to follow through with it. Tam's asking, Shawn, are you going to post the Zoom link? Yeah. The link's already posted, Tam. So if you go on the Instagram, on the Telegram, the link's posted right there already. So it looks like you just messaged in the group. So if you scroll up a little bit, the Zoom link is right there. If you want to hop into this. So yeah, guys, we'll be holding on to this trade for a bit. It's probably going to move pretty slow from now until London session. So like for the next 5 hours, market's probably going to keep going back and forth, within this area. And then we'll probably have some volatility as we get closer to London session. So I think we're good right here. Hey, Charles gone. Hey, Karen. True fans asking, hey, Shawn, can I trade US 30 with less than $100? I'm having some problems entering the trade using IC market. So I don't think so. Generally, you need at least 1,000 to trade US 30. I'm not sure what's the margin requirement for IC market, but I'm assuming they require more because they are a regulated broker. So I think you need I would say at least 1,000 to be safe. Some brokers will allow you to trade it with, less than that, 500 to 100, depending on, which broker you're using. But with IC market, I don't think you can trade US 30 with that small of an amount. And if you're having a problem entering the trade, that's probably the reason. They have a higher margin requirement because they are a regulated broker. So you could technically trade with that amount if you're trading with CoinEx. So CoinEx is one of the cheaper brokers that you can use if you want to trade US 30. I haven't used it myself, so I can't really give you a recommendation to use them, but that's what people use if they're trading it with with a smaller amount. I think people use FX Choice and CoinEx to trade with a small amount. But even with those brokers, I think they have a $500 minimum. So I don't know if you want to give them a try, but I personally haven't used them, so I can't really give you my recommendation to use those. But if you're going to try to trade with a small amount, it's going to depend on that specific broker. Neptune's asking, hey, Shawn, what's your stop loss? So the price difference between this and FTMO is about 15 pips. So right here, this is what the actual TP stop loss is. But if you're using like FTMO or something, you just subtract this by 15. So this would be 32,616. And same for the stop loss right here. If you're using a normal broker, this would be the normal pricing. But you have to see what's the difference between your broker and this price. But for FTMO, it's off by 15 pips right now. So this would be 32,516. So check that. One way to do it is just to subtract it. So subtract whatever price is on TradingView versus whatever price is with your broker, and you can determine, what your actual stop loss would be. But it shouldn't be too much. It's probably like 20 pip max. So you can always just subtract it by 20 if you don't want to do all that work. But depending on your broker, it might be off by a little bit. All right, cool. So yeah, Hamizan says she uses Tickmill. I've never used them before, so I'm not sure. But she said that you can use a small lot of a 0.01, which I guess would be a penny lot, depending on that broker. So I don't know if you want to give them a check out, but if you want to check out, these are here. I'll just put them here. So I'm not going to give these as recommendations because I haven't used them before, but these are I guess you could call these like micro lot, mini lot, micro lot brokers for US 30. The one that I know that a lot of people use is CoinEx. Two is going to be FX Choice, and I think the last one is Tickmill. This is gonna be Hamizan's. So these are the ones that I know of. I haven't used any of these, so I can't give you my recommendation. But I'm just gonna let you guys know that this is what people use in K2 who are using it with like a smaller amount. But even if that's the case, I mean, I probably wouldn't recommend you using it unless unless you're ready for it. Okay, so Funke said that Hugo's Way will let you with about 130. I'm not sure about that, Funke. Are you sure? Because I'm sure if you trade on US 30 with that small amount, you'll probably get margin called out. I think that's really pushing it. I think the bare minimum would be like maybe 500. 130 seems like really like pushing it because I've traded with Hugo's Way before and I've gone below like 500 and I get margin called out like once I get to like negative, or once I get to like equity of about 300. So I've never gone below equity of 300. So I'm not sure if you can do that with Hugo's Way, Funke. And I only know that because I have experience using them with a small amount too, because I was trying to figure out what you can trade it with. So I wouldn't push it. That's like really pushing it 130 because even their margin requirements are still pretty tight. Yeah, and then another one from Kyle. Kyle said, so another one would be LMFX. Kyle Rack. Gotcha. Yeah, so T got at 300. So yeah, I think going below 300 is really pushing it. So like I wouldn't even try it because the last thing you want to do is enter a trade. You go into some drawdown and you blow your account, or you like lose a lot of money because you can't survive the margin requirement. So I mean, you can go ahead and try it if you want, but I'm just gonna give you a heads up that you're probably gonna get margin called out if you trade with an account that small. I know with CoinEx, some people trade with like $100, so you could probably just use CoinEx instead. Vidat. So Vidat, if you want to get this, just go on the let me see. That's gonna be the TP right there. Vidat, there's the TP stop loss right there. Funky said 0.01 chart is 0.01. The charge is 5 cents, but if the drawdown, well, here's the thing, Funky. Like, even if you're trading like a 500 like TP stop loss, so here's like my breakdown for that. Because look, check this out. If you have, I mean, you can do basic, like it's just basic math, right? So if you're trading on Hugo's Way with a I don't know what she said, 130 account, you still have to cover the margin requirement, right? Which is going to be like, I think 50% of your account. I think the margin requirement is around 50% of account, which would be, I don't know, it's half of 130. My math sucks. It's not 120, it's 130, I think, right? Or no. Here, let's just do this. 3 divided by 2, 65. Okay. So it's just like you're just using basic logic, right? Like I mean, basic logic, all right? Right? Funky, you're an attorney, so you know what I'm talking about, like basic logic. Like, so your account's like 130, margin requirement's about 50%, which would be $65, right? If you're taking a scalp of 500 pips, that's going to be a 500. That's going to be a $50 stop loss, right? So if you go below, so if you do 130, 130 minus $50, you're gonna have 80 bucks left. So that's really pushing it towards your margin requirement, right? Your margin requirement is 65. You're probably gonna get margin called out. So that's why I don't think you trade with 130. You could probably enter a trade with 130, but as soon as you go immediately into negative, they're gonna kick you out of the trade, right, Funky? Because that's just how the margin requirement works. You need to have a certain amount of money in your account in order for you to cover that margin. So if you're scalping that much and you go to, your stop loss gets hit, you lose 50 bucks, your account goes down to 80, they're probably gonna kick you out because if there's like some slippage, if the spread's too wide, like for example, I think the spread on Hugo's way is like, let me check real quick. All right, I just have Hugo's way on mine. Let's see what the spread looks like. The doesn't show the spread here anymore. That's weird. Yeah, I don't know what the spread's like on here. I'll just do the math. Usually they had the spread number on Hugo's way. But let me see what the spread looks like here. So spread's going to be 32,553. 99 minus 32,55102. So the spreads are going to be about like 297 pips. So you're not going to be able to cover the spread if that's the case, Funky. Like if your spread's that much, it's going to probably be like about 29, 30 pips. You're going to have to add that onto your loss. So you're going to be way below, 80 bucks, which can be really close to the 65 maximum. So I don't think you can trade with 130, Funky. I've never seen anyone trade with that much before. You can enter a trade, but as soon as you go into negative, they're going to kick you out of the trade. So that's what I mean about you being able to cover margin. That's why I recommend like at least 500, because you'd be able to cover the margin. Like if your account was like 500, margin requirement would probably be around 250. So so this is probably what it is. Because like if you try to trade with anything below 300, you're probably gonna get kicked out of the trade like right away, and it's not really worth the risk at all, because you're not even gonna have a chance for your trade to breathe at all. Yeah, no, Funky said that she doesn't advise it because your blood pressure enter the trade. Yeah, exactly. No, I get it. So Funky, like when she says you can trade with 130, this is you going to 130 and never going to negative. Like you literally have to go immediately into positive. If you go into negative, like even by $1, you're probably gonna get kicked out of the trade, and you're gonna lose money with fees and with the margin requirement as well. So they're just gonna charge you to take that trade and to take that risk. So I wouldn't recommend doing this. And Funky even mentioned here that she doesn't really recommend it either. But you literally have to snipe it like where there's no drawdown if that becomes the case. So I wouldn't recommend it, guys. But if you want to, I mean, that's on you. But these are the other brokers that you can try with. I would probably try CoinEx. That's probably the best one for a lot of other people. Gotcha. Yeah. So Funky said, yeah, exactly. I jump in the middle of the trade when it's in profit. Yeah. So that's totally different because she jumps in when it's in profit already, and she doesn't go into any drawdown. So that's pretty much it for that. All right, so we're done with that topic for now. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the YouTube chat, and I can take a look at whatever pair you guys want. Otherwise, I'll be going down the Forex list over here, and I'll be drawing the zones so that we can prepare for the trading week. It's going to be kind of slow right now because the market is barely opening up, so we're probably not going to see too many moves. I'm currently in the scalp right here, so if you guys want to hop in the scalp, feel free. If not, it's cool. Just hang tight. But yeah, this is a risky trade right now. We just took this because if I rewind to this candle over here, this is the reason why we took this trade. This red candle right here rejected off the pivot and the structure. It provided for an entry using the K² snipe strategy. So K² snipe strategy, US 30, 10-minute time frame. First, confirm wick rejection off K² pivot, any pivot. To confirm wick rejection off K² SR zone. And lastly, confirm wick rejection off K² pivot does not touch candle body. So, looking at these requirements right here, first requirement, confirm wick rejection off the K² pivot. It's rejecting off this green pivot right here. Second, confirm wick rejection off the K² SR zone, which would be this zone down here. And lastly, just confirm that the wick rejection off the pivot doesn't touch the body. So right here, this green pivot's way far off from the body. So it provides for a buy entry right there. So we're currently in this trade. It's in some slight drawdown right now, but it is, it's currently pulling down. So we'll see how this plays out. Let's check out sentiment. Market sentiment is 69% of people short. So we'll see how this moves. This might move up a little bit before it moves down, but we'll have to give it some time for it to play out. That's kind of why I decided to take the trade too, because the sentiment was still short. So I could still see price like swinging up at some point. So we'll see. I'm gonna delete it, all this stuff off the chart right here, which is irrelevant for us right now. And we will continue on with this current active position. I'll set some alerts so we can follow it. But like I mentioned, if you guys want to enter this trade, you can. If not, then it's cool. It's still early in the week, so this is a really risky trade. But we just decided to take a small scalp to kick off the trading week so that we can get our feet wet. So I'm just going to set some alerts here for that. And then another alert in the other direction. Scalp number 1. All right, so we got this all set up right here. All right, so we got a couple questions here. Let's see. First question is from Funke. She wants me to take a look at gold, and then she wants me to take a look at DAX 30. So I'll take a look at both of those there. Next up, we got George. He wants me to take a look at GBP CHF. So I'll start off with gold first. Let me go over to the 4-hour chart. Let's go over to gold right over here. All right, so like if you guys were following my analysis from last week, I mentioned that we'd wait for price to break above or below the structure. And, you know, that's exactly what we're still waiting for here. It hasn't broken above or below it. So we're currently just waiting for this to play out. So let me go ahead and delete everything off the chart. And here is the naked chart for gold. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the K²SR indicator. I'm going to go ahead and mark this up for you guys so you guys can identify the rejection points. And the reason why this is important is because you'll know exactly where to trade and where not to trade. Like you wouldn't take a sell position if it's getting close to a rejection point, or you probably wouldn't hold on to it. You'd move your stop loss and profit. Vice versa, you wouldn't take a buy when it's reaching an upper rejection point, which would be a resistance, because price is likely to, you know, reject off that point. So anyways, I've drawn this from there. Take this off. And once you take this off, you can see how we have some perfectly drawn up zones, right? Zooming out from this point, you can see price broke into this area on January 8th of this year. And price has just been dropping since then, from up here all the way down here, rejected from this point, and now it's back into the same zone that it's been moving in between for the past about 3 months now. So once we draw these zones right here, next thing we're going to do is turn on the momentum indicator to identify the direction of momentum so that we have a bias when analyzing these trades. So for example, right here, we have a rejection from this point. We have a buy signal right here. So at this point, we're only looking for bias because we have a bias here for a buy, right? Whenever we have a buy signal, like same pattern right here, set up right here, where we had a rejection from that point, buy signal. Once it broke and closed past the structure, what did it do? It pushed up to this area up here. Same pattern in the opposite direction, rejection from this point, sell signal right here. And then what happened from this point? It did the same thing it did over here, but in the opposite direction. So it came down and tested this structure and then came right back up, right? So as you guys can see, it's really simple. As long as you can identify market structure, identify the direction of price by figuring out the direction of momentum, you'll know like where to trade. So for example, right here, we have a rejection, buy signal, breaking close past structure right here. It conducted a break and retest. So price broke structure, retested, and then now it's swinging back up, right? So from this point right here, I'm looking for a buy. And the reason for that is because we have a buy signal right here. And the main reason after that as well is that this move right here hasn't completed yet, right? It got halfway up, but then it retraced back for a retest, but it never completed its full move to the next structure right here, right? So there's a lot of different factors that go into this analysis. For me, one factor is that this move is never completed. So this move has to complete, in my perspective, until we get a sell signal. If we get a sell signal, then our bias change for a sell down here, but it hasn't. So right now I still have a buy bias. Another reason why I think this is going to go up is because of the stimulus that was released, last week. With the stimulus being released, the U.S. Treasury has to print more U.S. dollars, right? And when they print more U.S. dollars, that weakens the value of the U.S. dollar. So with that said, if the U.S. dollar continues to be weak, then gold will continue to push up because it moves opposite of the US dollar. So one way to identify how strong the US dollar is open up the DXY, which would be the dollar index. This dollar index is going to show you the strength of the US dollar. So like, for example, here, this is the 4 hour. You can go on the short time frame and see where it's moving on there. So as you can see here, the dollar is currently swinging above, but now it's trying to swing back below, right? So market opened right here below, it gapped above here, and now it's coming right back down. So if this becomes the case where the dollar continues to drop, then you could expect gold to go up. Because if you guys are familiar with how price moves, when price is going down, that means that the second currency is stronger than the first currency. Vice versa, when price is going up, that means that the first currency is stronger than the second currency. So if the US dollar continues to drop from this point and drops below this area, then we could see gold swing up. So this is pretty much how I see gold right now. Obviously, I wouldn't enter this trade yet. I would wait for it to swing back above the structure. And then once it swings above the structure and closes, then you can enter a long position from there. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I see happening right now. And that's pretty much what we'll be following, as we continue to analyze this throughout the week. So we'll see how this plays out. There's nothing for us to enter right now, but we'll continue following it into the week to see how this ends up moving. Because if we get a sell signal here, then our bias changes totally. Instead of taking a buy, then we take a sell instead in this direction. So we'll see how that plays out. But I wouldn't hop into this just yet. I would give it some time to breathe. And then, once it confirms, then I would take the trade. So that's it for gold right there. The next question from Funke is going to be DAX 30. So I'll go over to the DAX 30 right now. And just keep that in mind, guys. Be patient. Don't force any trades because you think price is going to go one way or the other. You got to enter trades when you have those confirmations. If your confirmations are met, then take those trades. If not, then hold off and wait. There's also news tomorrow morning as well. So there's heavy, high impact US news right here, which might affect gold. So I'd be careful with that. Anyways, going over to the DAX right now. So I'm going to clear everything off the chart. I'm going to go on the 1 hour, take everything off here. Here is the naked chart right here. So with this said, I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing I did for gold, right? The same analysis works for all assets. I use the same analysis for indexes, commodities like gold, silver, Forex pairs, pretty much everything. So right here, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to identify market structure, and I'm going to do that by turning on the momentum indicator. So once we have this momentum indicator on, we are going to draw our structure right here to identify where the rejection points are. So you guys can see when I analyze things, I start basic. I start basic by identifying market structure. And then as I continue on, I start to factor in other factors that, people might not seem obvious, like basic fundamentals, like, comparing the US dollar to other opposite assets like gold. And then when you tie all those together, that's where your analysis comes full circle, and you could determine, what direction you'll be trading in, what's your bias, et cetera, et cetera. So here is the DAX. So once I draw this, you guys can see that the DAX has broken into this structure. Let's see, on March 9th. So from March 9th, it's been moving around this area right here. It consolidated for quite some time right here, sideways until it broke above right over here. But it looks like it just did like a basic break and retest, right? Price broke the structure right here, came back down, retest the structure. Now at this point, price can either go up or it can go down from this point. So you can either continue down or it can reject off this point, swing right back up, and just have a big consolidation range within this area right here. So anyways, looking at the DAX, once we have this drawn up, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the momentum indicator to identify the direction of price. So right here, we have a sell signal. Right here, we have a rejection off this point. Another rejection off this point right here. Sell signal right here. And price broke below the structure right here. So in order for me to take this trade here, and this is going to be a longer move, like this is on the 1 hour. In order for me to want to take a sell here, I want it to close below this structure right here. The reason why I wouldn't enter around this area is because price can reject off any point right here. Like price can easily swing up from this point. It could come down and swing up from this point, or it could swing up from this point right here as well. So I would personally want it to close, below the structure right here. And then I can just take a sell from this point, not have to worry about it. And this is if you're looking on the higher, on the bigger the bigger time frame. So this is going to be the 1 hour. I'll go down to the 10-minute to show you guys if there's any scalps here. But you can see the last time that this happened right here. So I'll show you an example of when it actually played out. So right here, we had a rejection from this point. We had a sell signal right here, and it broke and closed past structure, right? Same situation right here. It's the same pattern. We had a rejection, sell signal, break and close past structure down here. That's what happened right here. It pushed down to this next structure right here, right? It's the same pattern that keeps repeating itself. What we're doing is we're just identifying momentum. We identify momentum, and then we ride it in that direction. So again, right here, rejection off this point, sell signal right here, break and close patch structure right here. And then what happens from that point, it drops down to here, right? So that's the same pattern that we're looking for right here. But until this pattern completes, then, there's going to be no entry. So this would be my bias here for the DAX. But like I mentioned, I wouldn't enter this until we have that full confirmation, because the last thing you want to do is enter a sell, and then it ends up reversing on you and heads straight back up, right? Because your bias is going to change if we get a buy signal. So for example, this is scenario number 1. Scenario number 2 is if price ends up rejecting off this point right here, which could happen. It provides some sort of buy signal right here. And then from there, it just pushes up, right? It pushes up to here. And then if it closes above this structure again right here, then what do you think is going to happen from that point? Same pattern, keeps on going up. And you can see that playing out over here, right? Rejection from this point, buy signal right here, break and close past structure right here. And then what happens from that point? Pushes up to the next structure. Break and close past structure right here. What happens from that point? Pushes up to the next structure, right? It's the same pattern, just keeps repeating itself. And if you guys are patient enough to wait for this pattern to complete, you can easily catch a ton of pips right here. Like, this is a lot of profit that could be made if you entered a buy right here. That's like 4,000 pips, right? You added 0 to it. These are 431 points, but if you go higher, that's a pretty big move right there. Again, right there, 5,000 pips. Again, right here, it just keeps repeating itself. So just keep that in mind, guys. Like, when you guys are taking these trades, you guys got to be patient. You guys can't just be jumping into trades just because you feel like it's going to go one direction or the other. Because generally, if that's what you do every time, more times than not, you're probably not going to get lucky, right? And that's why you want to wait for those confirmations. So anyways, that's it for DAX on the 1 hour. I'll go on the 10-minute now, and I'll analyze it from a shorter perspective here. Damn, this thing is like pushing down heavy. So if this hits our stop loss, it's fine, guys. Like I told you guys, it's a risky trade. It's a risky trade on my end as well. And that's why I took a smaller lot size, because this is just a tester trade. It's a tester trade for the kickoff for this week. And during, like, when the market's back in full swing tomorrow, it's probably gonna be better. So if we have a loss here, it's fine, because we'll just bounce back tomorrow like we normally do. And if you guys followed our trades from last week, I mean, we had it was a winning streak. I don't think we had any losses last week. Let me check. Especially for US 30. So we took, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 US 30 scalps right here on Monday, all full TP. Tuesday, we took 2 US 30 scalps and 1 full move right here, all full TP. Tuesday, we took 1 scalp, full TP. Wednesday, 2 scalps, full TPs. So, we usually don't trade on Sunday. I just took this trade because I felt good about last week. I figured we might as well kick off the week early and just get our feet wet. So I'm currently still in this trade right now. If it hits stop loss, it's fine, because I did manage my risk properly. And I'm, if we lose that, it's cool, because we'll bounce back tomorrow like we always do. So it's all about consistency, guys. You guys can't be scared to take losses. There's no way that you guys can be 100% every single day, every single week, every single year. You're going to run into losses. So I'm not too worried about this trade right here. I'm gonna let it run. And then if it doesn't hit, then it's cool. I'll chill until tomorrow, and I'll take some real scalps tomorrow morning. So other than that, let me move on to the DAX over here and analyze that for Funke real quick. So here's the DAX. Let me take this off, see if there's any entries that were available right now. So let's see, we got a couple. See, I'll just draw the zone right here. So Funke, it looks like today, let me see, today's the 21st. It looks like there were a couple entries that were available here. So let me just mark this up right here. Obviously, I didn't take any of these trades. I would have shared them with you if I did take them, but I didn't take any of these trades. So anyways, looking at the same strategy that we're applying over here for US 30, it's the same strategy. It's just on a different asset. So like right here, K2 snipe strategy, it doesn't have to be used on US 30. People use this on everything. So looking at this over here, if we scroll, let me see where the first entry was, because today's the 21st. So this is the 21st right here. I'll just rewind this to, or I'll just show you from here. Let me just mark this up right here. This green candle right here, there's a rejection off the pivot in the structure right over there. So looking at this pair right here, we have a wick rejection off the K2 pivot and a wick rejection off the K2 SR level right there. So with that said, we could enter a short position right over here. So with this said right here, wick rejection off the pivot, wick rejection off the structure. The pivot is not touching the body, so you enter a short position right there. If you were to take this trade right here, I don't know what the sweet spot is because I don't normally trade this. I'm assuming it's like 150, right? So if that's what it is, we just move down here, like no drawdown right there, full TP. So I'm not sure if you caught this, Funky, because this falls under your requirements where you were saying that, you don't really hit any drawdown because you enter like right at the perfect point. So this would be a perfect trade right here for the DAX. And I think there's another one that applied over here as well. So let me see if we move forward a little bit. Let's see. All right, so same situation right here. So same requirements right there. This red candle right here, wick rejection off this yellow pivot, wick rejection off the structure. With that said, you enter another short position right here. So if you were to do that, short position right there for 150, looks like this is probably still running right now. So this is probably what you're still in right now, Funky, if this is what you were asking about. Or it looks like you would have hit full TP already, or almost. So not sure if you took this trade, Funky, but yeah, for the DAX, looks like there's two nice scalps that were available today. So there's one right here, full TP, and then another one right here that's currently pushing down a full TP as well. So these are both some good trades right here. I'm not sure if you took this, Funky. I'm sure this is what you're referring to because this just happened probably like 20 minutes ago. So this is probably the one that you're talking about, the one that you're in, but it does look good. It looks good, and it's about to push down to full TP as we speak. So that's it for the DAX right there. Let me check my chat real quick to see. Nice. Yeah, so Josh is killing it this morning here. Let me check real quick. So if I go over to my save messages, I save everyone's profits in K2. So like this, let's see, this afternoon, who took trades this afternoon? So Josh did. Josh took a trade. He took a buy for US 30. He was scalping. He made 246. He took another sell. So he's trading in both ways. He made 246 and 216 off those trades right there. And then again over here, he took a couple more trades. He had one loss here, but he made it right back with these other trades over here. So Josh is doing pretty well right now with his US 30 scalps. But yeah, I mean, we'll have to wait and see how this ends up playing out. Zephyr is asking, hi, Shawn. US 30 10-minute has shown two valid sell trades. Would you reverse your trade to take them? Personally, I probably wouldn't. Let me just go back to US 30. Okay, I can see what you're saying right here. So yeah, you're saying right here that there's another sell entry that's available for right here for this red one next to it, right? So this is where it gets kind of tricky. Like usually, like if I was to see this right here, I would probably just stop trading it because there's just, price is too choppy, right? It's indecisive. Price goes down, goes up, goes down, goes up. Like for example, here, if you took any of these trades over here, or actually there's nothing that was available here. But yeah, this one right here would have been skipped because the pivot touches the body. This one right here is the one that we took because it's a clean entry. This one right here would be a sell entry that you were referring to, Zephyr. So I personally wouldn't. I mean, if you're going to have a bias, right? Like once you start trading it, you have to have a bias. You can't keep taking both trades because if you take too many trades, then, those trades can backfire on you easily. So I wouldn't take the sell if I'm already in this buy right here. You basically want to take it when it's like not choppy. Like for example, right here, this whole area is choppy. I wouldn't take any of these trades here, even though there was a bunch of entries available right there. So this is indicating that price is becoming a little choppy because we have a buy there and then we have a sell right next to it, right? So I probably wouldn't mess with it, Zephyr. I mean, if you want to be risky, you can just take a smaller lot size, but you're basically betting against yourself if you're doing that. And the last thing you want to do is enter a buy here or enter a sell here, and then it ends up swinging all the way back up, right? And then you end up getting stopped out both ways when you could have just held on to the trade. So I wouldn't second guess your trade. If you chose a direction, just stick with that direction, and just let it play out. Because it's just too risky if you're going to take both ways. They're just trying to fake you out at this point. So that's why I was saying if we hit a loss here, then I'm cool with it because we're going to bounce back tomorrow or like into the week. But if price starts to get choppy like that, that's probably a sign to just stay out of the market, right? Like for example, I wouldn't take any trades right here. It's just going sideways. I wouldn't take any trades right here. It's only going sideways. This whole area right here, I wouldn't take any trades around this whole area right here because it's just going sideways. This was on Friday. See, like I would take buys if it's going up this way. I would take more buys if it's going this way, sells this way. But if it's just going sideways like this right here, I wouldn't mess with it because you're just going to end up getting stopped out if price ends up spiking both ways. Because, you know, Sunday is known to have a lot of whipsaws because price hasn't really, it hasn't really settled yet since from the weekend. So I would hold off on it. Zephyr, if you want to take it, go ahead, but take a smaller lot size and just be careful. But I'm going to hold on to my buy. I think it's going to swing back up. You know, there's a couple factors that I'm factoring into this, like the sentiment right here. There's still a lot of people short. So with this many people short, they're going to push price up to stop people out that are on the downside. So that's why I'd be careful with it. But yeah, after this trade right here, I don't recommend anyone taking more trades because it just looks like price is just going sideways from this point. Just wait for it to swing up. If it swings up, then you can take some buys. If it swings down, you can take some sells. But at this point, it's just going sideways. So I wouldn't really, I wouldn't risk it myself. All right, so back to the questions over here. I went over gold and DAX 30 for Funke. Next, we have GBP CHF for George. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat and then I can answer them. Otherwise, I'm going to go down the list and I'm just going to start marking up my zones for the week so that we can be prepared for these Forex trades as we continue on with our analysis for the trading week. So anyways, going back to GBP CHF right here, I'm going to take everything off the chart, George, and I'll start this analysis for you. So here's a naked chart for GBP CHF. You guys can see the same analysis I did for gold that I did for the DAX. I'm going to now do for GBP CHF, which is a Forex pair. So here's a naked chart right here. First thing I'm going to do is turn on the K²SR indicator right here. And I'm going to draw up my zones so that we can identify where the rejection points are. So we got this zone right here. We got this zone right here. This is right here. This one right here. These overlap. So I'm going to create one big zone. So these zones right here overlap actually. So I'm going to draw one big zone right there. This one over here. This one right here. These right here overlap, so I'm going to make one big zone right there. All right, then we got a couple more right over here. Right over here as well. And these over here overlap. So I'm just going to make one big zone for this one right here because they're overlapping anyways. And then I'm going to turn off the indicator. So once we turn that off, you guys can see that we have some perfectly drawn zones, right? So price broke into this area. Looks like it broke into it. So it broke above it like in November. It came back down during December, and then it swung right back up in the beginning of January. So from this point right here, price broke into the structure and then now it's swinging back up. So it swung up from this point, swung up even higher, and then now it's just ranging between these two zones right here. So looking at this from this point, I'm gonna do the same thing I did last time. So once we have these zones drawn up, I'm gonna turn on the momentum indicator and we're gonna identify momentum. So looking at this right here, price is just going sideways, right? It's kind of hard to really determine, you know, what direction it's really gonna be pushing in. Like if you just look at price right here, it's literally just ranging up and down from this point, and this range isn't even that wide. Let's see how wide is it. From this point right here, let's go from the bodies. So it's been ranging kind of wide, but like not enough for you to really move directional, right? Because it's only been moving like 153 pips within like 11 days. You know, if you look over here, this is a bullish move right here. It's like 200 pips. So you guys can see the difference. In one day, it moves 200 pips up. The next day it moves, let's see, 300 pips down. And then it swings back up like 200 pips. Like when it's moving directional like this is where you want to trade it. Moves about 400 pips. After that, it just goes sideways, right? So anyways, George, looking at this here, I'm going to turn on the momentum indicator. And then I'm going to identify the rejection points. We have a rejection point from up here. We have a sell signal right here. Next thing I'm going to be looking for is for price to break and close below this structure right here. If price ends up breaking and closing below the structure right here, then I'll be poised to take a sell position right there, right? And this would be a nice move for about 120 pips. You know, looking at this here, the same pattern played out right over here. We had the rejection from this point, sell signal right here. It broke and closed past structure. And what happened from that point? Push down to here. Same pattern the opposite way. Rejection from this point, buy signal right here, break and close past structure. With that said, it pushed up to here for another move up for the upside. So you can like literally push in either direction if you just wait for the perfect entry points. Looks like George has a short position. So that's good, George. You have a short position and it's in the direction of the bias right now, because we do have a sell position right here. So what could happen from this point, if you're in a sell already, looks like it can push down to possibly down here. So once you move into profit, I would recommend that you move your stop loss in profit with it, because the last thing you want to do is get caught in a reversal as it swings back up. Because as you can see right here, the pattern right here played out right over here. So we had a rejection from this point. We had a sell signal right here, and then it pushed down to this structure down here, right? So rejection, sell signal, push down to this structure right here. And if you at least move your stop loss in profit, or you try to get out around the bottom of the structure right here, you could have locked in some nice profit, because from this point, it dropped like 80 pips, 85 pips right there. So if you're currently in the sell right here, looks like you have some cushion for about 65 pips right there. So, with that said right here, you can easily catch some pips right here if you're already in that sell. However, I'd be careful, because you can see right here, every time this pattern played out, there's always some sort of rejection that happened. Price came down, rejection from this point, and it rejects around the same area. So rejection from that point, rejection from this point right here, and then probably again the same rejection down here. So if you're in a sell, that's fine. You're going the direction of the bias anyways. So you just got in a little early. Like for me, I would wait for it to close below here to take that sell. But if you're in a sell already, I think it has some room to push even lower. So I think you should be good for the most part. It's just about managing your risk at this point. So you should be all right with this. But what I do recommend is to, possibly move your stop loss in profit as it continues to move down lower and lower. So that's pretty much it for GBP CHF. But other than that, I think you're good. You identified it perfectly for a sell right there. But like I was mentioning, price is just ranging. So you don't want to get caught in any reversals. All right, so let's see, done with GBP CHF. Yeah, no problem, George. Glad I could help you. Next up is, let's see, Trell wants me to take a look at GBP odd. GBP odd. And then let me just scroll up real quick and see what else you guys are asking for over here. So Neptune's asking, how long is the learning curve for the K2 snipe strategy? I'm sure it's a lot of it has to do with me, but is it that simple? Yeah, it's pretty simple, Neptune. Rick's in this chat too. Rick, you're in here, right? Like Rick started with K2 like last week. If you guys go back, like me and Rick had a live session together where we just covered, we covered a lot of stuff with him, but he's identifying trades on his own. Like he took his own scalps here. He's only been with K2 like maybe 1 or 2 weeks. He's already made like his own profits here, about 1,400 for that one day. What day was that? On the 18th. So about 3 days ago, he locked in this stuff on his own, pretty much just scalping. And he's been doing pretty good. He's had some back and forth process, but that's normal. Like you're going to have losses and wins, but once you get it really down, like Rick's pretty consistent with his trades as well. Like he's had a couple bad trades, but that's the learning process of this. He's had a couple bad trades, but he knows how to bounce back from it, right? He's had bad trades, but he's bounced back in profit. So the learning curve really depends on you, on how well you can follow directions and how well you can stick to your trading plan. So I mean, there's no cookie cutter time frame for how well you can learn, but I mean, for the most part, it's really not that difficult. It's a checklist. You have the requirements here. Like if the first requirement's met, wick rejection off the K2 pivot, you just check that off. You're like, all right, cool. That's first requirement set. The second requirement, wick rejection off K2 SR zone. If that's there, you just check that off as well. And then lastly, you just want to make sure that the pivot doesn't touch the body. So it's really just a checklist that you're looking through. The main difference with where it becomes difficult is when you start to factor in the other factors, right? Like for me, I factor in like sentiment. It's not that difficult, but it's something that you'll factor in later on. But as long as you as long as you can figure out, you know, what the requirements are, like this is going to be the bare minimum. As long as you can figure out these requirements, which is not that difficult, you should be able to at least apply it yourself. You know, obviously, like right here, there's going to be entries that are available right here, right? Like these are entries that are available, but they're risky trades. But it's okay, because as long as you identify it, you can start factoring in the other requirement. No, but they're not requirements, but they're optional requirements where like you don't want to trade where price is consolidating. So like as long as you can identify the very basics, you'll be able to apply it. But then I would recommend that you practice on a demo account so that you get everything down first. Once you get everything down, then you can start, you know, taking notes from all of my live sessions. Like every day I go over something new, right? I go over when prices is like going sideways. That's like one optional requirement where not to trade. Another optional requirement is to look at the sentiment to see where, you know, the retail traders are trading. You generally don't want to trade in the direction of everyone else. And then you can look at news. I mean, there's a ton of things that you can add into it to increase your win rate. But there's no cookie cutter thing where it's like, you know, check this, check that, check this, check that. It's more so just, you know, make sure that these requirements are met. And then after that, you can add other requirements to it. But you don't want to add too many requirements, because then you're not going to enter any trades, because you're going to have analysis paralysis where you're just going to get freeze up. You're going to be like, oh, does this work? Does this work? And that's where you don't want to be. So anyways, going back to this position right here, guys, I told you guys that I was in this position earlier. So I'm back in profit. I didn't get kicked out of that trade. I'm still currently in it right now. I'm in profit like $5. It's not a big deal. I just took a small position on this because we're just getting our feet wet for the trading week. But in reality, it's not that difficult. Neptune. So Maurice is asking, where can I access the indicators? So Maurice, if you want access to these indicators, you need to go on the website, k2trades.com right here. It's a basic website, k2trades.com. Click on K2 strategy course right here. And once you sign up to this, you can get access to the indicators, all these K2 indicators here, and you'll get access to the K2 strategies as well, where you can learn these strategies that everyone else is applying. So basically I save everyone's profits here, and these are everyone's profits that are within K2. Like this is people applying the strategy on their own. Like Cheryl over here, she's locking about 5,000 last week, 6,000. You guys will see me mention Cheryl a lot. Like her name is making it with K2. She joined K2 and she's been killing it. Same as Sisu over here. Everyone's applying the same strategy here, but they're doing it on their own time. So I don't call all these trades here, but if you want to apply it on your own, you guys can do that. And here's Sisu, he made 2,000 on Friday. John over here made 2,600 on Friday. Harry over here made 576. I don't know, what else did people make yesterday? Ricardo over here made 4,213. Like these are people that are applying this strategy on their own. Eunice over here made 3,322. You can see here that he trades different things. He trades the Aussie 200. He trades NZD CAD. He trades UK 100. He trades NASDAQ 100. Like I don't trade these at all. He trades the peso right here, and he made all this profit on his own applying the same strategy. So if you guys want to learn it, just go on the website, k2trades.com, click on K2 strategy course right here, and then you can do it all on your own. Like I'll call trades that I'm trading, and I normally only trade US 30. I trade some Forex pairs sometimes when there's entries available, but I mean, for the most part, if you watch any of my live sessions, I usually trade US 30. Like this is my asset that I like to trade. And there we go. We're back in profit, thankfully. Thankfully, it had me kind of swaying for a little bit when we were watching that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyways, back to the questions over here. The next question is from Trell. So I'm going to be looking at GBP odd for Trell real quick. Let me pull it up for you guys. And then after that, I'll take a look at the chat. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Otherwise, after this analysis, I'm going to go down this whole watch list right here, and I'm going to mark up my zones for the week so that we can get prepared for this upcoming trading week. So anyways, I'm going to delete everything off the chart here, zoom out from this point. There's a naked chart. First thing I do is turn on the K2SR indicator so that we can identify market structure. So draw that up there, draw that right there. And you guys can see how easy it is to draw market structure. A lot of people have problems identifying market structure because they don't know where to draw their structures, right? If you guys have the K2SR indicator, it does everything for you. There's like literally no guesswork. You just copy over it, turn that off, zoom out, and boom, there you go. You have market structure for GA. So looking at GA right here, I'm gonna turn on the momentum indicator, and we're gonna identify the bias. So right here, we have a sell signal. It's an invalid sell signal, but it's still a sell signal. So looking at this here, we have a rejection from this point up here. We have the sell signal right here. So price basically broke structure right here and it came back for a retest. So this is basically a simple break and retest, right? Price broke structure. It's now retesting right here. So what's probably going to happen after this? It's probably going to drop from this point right here, right? So this is probably what's going to happen here. The reason why I can see this is because we have a bias. We have a sell bias. If we didn't have a bias here, like for example, if we didn't have the momentum signal there, like it'd be kind of hard for you to determine, what direction to be moving. Like obviously it's trending down right here, but it's kind of hard to determine, if it's really trending down or if it's just, pulling back slightly. So if you do that right there, we have a downtrend. We turn on the momentum indicator. That gives us even better confirmation that price is probably going to reject off this point and swing right back down, right? So pretty much this is how I see it right now, Trell. I do see it with a sell bias. So I'm not sure if you're in this trade right now, but I do think this is going to reject off this point and then it's going to swing back down to here. So if you want to re-enter this, you can, or if you're not even in it yet, what you can do is you can actually set a sell stop right here so that when price actually does come back down, it'll automatically fill your order and then you'll be immediately in profit. So that's one way to do it. I'm not sure if you're already in the trade, but if you are and you're in a sell, I think it's fine. I think it's going to come back down. It's just, market is barely opening right now. So everything's kind of slow. You'll probably see this move a little faster as we get closer to London Open, which would be in about, let's see, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, right? 9, 10, 11, 12. So in about 4 hours, less than 4 hours from now, this will start to pick up a little bit. And I think once volatility picks up, this will just come shooting right back down. Kind of what happened right here, right? Price came for a retest right here and just shot down like crazy. So something to keep in mind, but definitely I see this for a sell bias. Once we get closer to London Open, and it looks nice right here with this rejection off this point. It looks like it's going to drop. So other than that, going back to my US 30 position, I'm now currently in profit about $300. Yeah, 305 right now. So, this is what I mean about trusting the process, right? If you guys follow the strategy and you guys know that it actually works, you guys can trust it. Like I wasn't really too worried if it hit stop loss because I was like, if I lose this trade, it's cool. We'll just bounce back tomorrow. But thankfully it bounced back and I'm now currently in profit. So I know a lot of you guys are in that trade with me. I think Trell's in it with me. Who else? Let's see. Yeah, Trell's in it with me. Tam's in it with me too. So hopefully it does work out for us because there's a couple of us that are actually in this trade right now. So we'll see how it plays out. Other than that, let's see. Josh, I got TP to take about a buy. So looks like Josh has been hitting his TPs pretty nicely. He took a buy right here. He hit full TP, hit a sell here, full TP, and looks like he's trying to enter a buy now right here. And it's all flowing with his profits right here. So these are his trades from today. This evening, he had one win for US 30, another win. He had one loss right here. Looks like he kind of held on to it for too long because these wins over here are around 250 profit. And this is like 509. So it looks like he just held on to this, didn't want to let go of it, but it's fine because he made his money back down here. So nice work off that, Josh. Looks like you're about to, if you're going to take that buy, it's going to go in the direction of us as well. And that'll be beneficial for all of us that you're going to be, riding that trade with us. So other than that, let me check if there's any other questions before, we continue on. Nice. Okay, cool. So Neptune's in this buy as well. So there's a lot of us in this trade right now. So we're all hoping that this shoots up. So it looks like Trell's in this trade, Tam's in this trade, Neptune's in this trade, Ricardo's in this trade, and John's in this trade as well. So hopefully this plays out. I think this is another confirmation of another buy right here as well. So let me just go back to this right here, rewind. It's kind of risky because it's like touching the body, so it's not necessarily a clean entry. But this looks like it's slowly pushing up as we speak. So it looks good for the most part. Nice, Mandra's in here too. All right, cool, perfect. So we're all in this buy. We're all trying to push for this to go up. But we're not going to be stuck and glued to watching this right here. We're going to keep analyzing other stuff so we don't get too focused on this. And we'll come back and check on it within the next few minutes. So, all right, I think that's it for the questions right now. Let me just scroll up and see if there's anything else that I missed before we continue on. Dang, Funky's up already. It's 4 a.m. over there. She said, my brain is still booting. Yeah, exactly. So like what Funky said right there as well. So Funky said she felt the same way. It's simple with the indicator. You just have to practice identifying actual entries and not just what you think is an entry. Exactly, definitely. All right, guys. So that's it for the questions right now. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to go down the Forex list right here, and I'm going to draw my zone. So I'm not really going to answer any other questions. If you guys have questions, put them in the chat. And once I'm done drawing up my zones, which I'm going to do pretty quickly, I just want to get it done with so I can focus on other things. So I'm going to go ahead and draw my zones on here. Once I'm done with that, I can go back and answer questions. So if you guys have questions, just drop them in the chat, and then I will take a look at them shortly thereafter. So, all right, start off with odd cat over here. It's like not too much has changed since last week. So that's it for odd CAD, pretty much just that lower zone. Go to odd CHF real quick. Let me see what these look like. So I'll delete this one from up here. I'll delete this one right here as well. And I'm just gonna talk to myself, guys, while I'm doing this, because it just keeps me engaged with my analysis here. So I'm not like blindly drawing these zones up here. I want to make sure that I actually know what's going on. So I'm just gonna go ahead and draw these zones, and then I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can find any Forex entries for tonight. See if there's anything else over here. All right, cool. We had a signal for US 30 real quick. Let me see if that was a buy. All right, perfect. So it's a pending buy signal for US 30. That's actually beneficial for us because it's going to push it in our direction. So if you guys are wondering what strategy Josh is applying for this right here, it's a new strategy that he actually thought of on Friday. So what he does now, I'll go over that later, but I'll kind of go over it in briefly right now. What he does is he goes on the 3-minute. He goes on the 3-minute, and then whenever he sees a signal, he just catches it and then rides it for like 250 pips. So this is a buy that he lost right here, but he took all these other buys. So right here, he took this buy, he made 250 pips off that. He took this, he took this sell, made 250 pips off that. He took this buy, he had a small loss, but he ended up taking this sell right here, made another 250 off that. Again, right here, took this buy, he took it for 250 right there, another sell right here, 250 right there. And then again, right here, he took a buy and he made a little, or he's in the process of reaching his profit right there. So you guys can see that you don't have to use the indicators how I teach them. You can, if you find some way that works, you can just trade them however you like, and you can make money that way as well. So like looking at Josh's trades right here, see for this one, he took this buy right here. That was this one right here. So he took this buy right here. He locked in about 250 pips off that. Sorry, 25. So that's what he took right there. That's how he made that profit off this right here. 246. He just, he kind of shaved off some profit right there because of the spread and stuff, but he took that, had a win right there. His sell right here, see, he made 216. That's what he took right here. He took a short position right here. He shot for 250 pips. And it's really simple, right? Like I didn't even teach Josh the strategy. He just does it on his own. And if you guys learn how to use these things, you guys can easily make your own profit, just trading the way you want to. So like right here, this is his first loss right here. Looks like he might have went for 500 pips because he kind of just held on to it longer than he should have. But looking at his profits over here, that's the first loss right there, right? The US 30 buy, he took that, he lost 509. So that's fine. He made a loss off that. And then he ended up taking this sell right after it right here and made full TP off that. And that's exactly how he's making these profits right here. So, if you guys want to learn this, I mean, it's not that difficult. Literally, like he just looks for the signal and he takes it when he sees it. It's not rocket science, guys. Literally, you just look for certain things and you make profit, like just pretty much just scalping these little moves here. So I haven't looked at this strategy yet, but Josh mentioned it to me on Friday. So I'm going to have a session with him, I think next week, or I'm gonna have a session with him, I think on Thursday. So we'll probably, I don't know if he wants to make it public. If he wants to make it public, we'll be going over the strategy together during a mentoring session on Thursday. And this is the reason for the mentoring sessions. Like for some people, they want to learn stuff, from scratch. And for some people, they come up with their own strategies and they want to run it by me. So Josh, he's been coming up with his own strategies. He runs them by me. I go over them with him and I show him what he can do differently to make them better. And then he just keeps applying them on his own. Like he's the one that created the Sunday Funday strategy, if you guys have been taking that. And I mean, you know, the opportunity is really it's really unlimited. It's limitless if you really want to learn this stuff, because it's not that difficult. But yeah, I mean, that's it for that. I'm gonna go back to the Forex pairs and I'm gonna finish drawing my zones for you guys here. So here's odd CHF, and if you guys want me to provide the parameters for these zones, like for any specific pair, just let me know, and then I'll let you know. Because I'm just not going to waste too much time on this for a lot of people that don't really want to, that don't really care about these Forex pairs. Cause I know a lot of you guys here don't really care about these Forex pairs anymore. You guys just care about my US 30 trades since they always hit. But I still trade Forex. Like I trade Forex, not as much, but I still do trade it every so often when I do see an entry. So that's why I draw these zones up, so that if I see anything, I can take them. All right, so that's it with IJPY. All right, odd NZD right here. Let's see if I see anything else here. All right, cool. That's it for that. I'm just gonna zoom through these real quick, guys. I don't want to waste too much time on these Forex pairs if you guys don't even care about them. I know majority of you guys don't care about them, so I'm just gonna go through them real quick. And if you guys want me to analyze them, just put the asset in the chat, and I'll actually analyze it in detail for you guys. But if not, then I'm not going to waste my time on these because I know a lot of you guys don't really care about it. All right, KJPY. Let's delete this down there. All right, you get some upper zones. 8 hour, the daily right here. Weekly. Yeah. All right, cool. It's all marked up right there. So we're good off that. There's KJPY, CHFJPY. Let's see. I gotta fix these right here. Delete this zone. Delete this zone. Let's see. Delete this one. All right, I'm just gonna redraw this zone right here. This one right here as well. See, this connects down to here. One big zone, and then another one down here as well. All right, cool. So that's it for CHFJPY. Next one, Euro odd. Delete these two up here, relevant. This one's different now. That's fine. All right, the other ones down there are cool too. I'm just gonna draw this one right here. And once I'm done actually drawing these zones, I'll go back and actually analyze these to see what's good. I just don't like taking too much time on certain pairs that like nobody even trades, because I do have a big watch list of like, I think 24 pairs. So I do look at a lot of different pairs. It doesn't necessarily mean that I trade all of them every week. It's just whenever I see something good with that specific pair, then I'll, obviously I'll take a look. All right. It was way too messy of a pair here with Euro CAD. All right, so all done with that. Let's see, Euro CHF. Everything here looks good for the most part. Delete this one right there. All right. Good for the most part. EJ. And I feel like the last couple of weeks have been like kind of messy for the Forex pairs. With a lot of the stimulus talk that happened before it was actually approved, I feel like it just caused price to go sideways for a while. And then once the stimulus came out, it pushed price one direction. And then now it's trying to stabilize and determine, what's the actual direction that it's going to move in. I'm just trying to make sure we lock in enough profits off that too, with these Forex pairs before we hit summer. Because, once we pass May, that's when the market's going to slow down a bit. So let's see if we can go with this right here. USD, GA right here. I just looked at GA, I think, so we're good with those zones. GCAD over here. Let's see, I'll just take these off. So just a reminder, guys, I'm just going to go through these. I'm marking up these zones really quick. I'm not really analyzing them. I just want to mark up the structure so that I can identify where to trade and where not to trade. But I do see your questions right there in the YouTube chat, guys. So I will take a look at your questions once I'm done marking all this stuff up. So just sit tight until I'm all done with this, and then I can answer your guys' questions. All right. GC. Damn. Stuff up. So I'm just taking a glance at US 30, like while we're watching. So like the way that I glance at US 30 while I'm like analyzing other stuff, guys, is I look at right here. So I can see where the percentage is, right? So this is kind of dropping down a little bit. It looks like it's really choppy now, US 30. So I think if it moves back in profit, I'm probably going to close out. I mean, you guys can hang on to it, but I'm going to close out because like generally when I see the market moving like that, like one word of advice that I always give you guys is if you don't feel comfortable about a trade, just close out, even if it's for a small profit or a small negative. It's better for you to close out than to have to worry about a trade, right? Because that's the worst feeling when you're following a trade and it just doesn't feel right, right? Sometimes trades just don't feel right. And if they don't feel right, you know, oh shit, my bad, guys. I went on the freaking 8 hour. Yeah, if they don't feel right, then it's probably not going to be a good trade, right? So I'll keep checking on it. But that's just, that's another word of advice for me, guys. If you guys don't feel comfortable with your trade, or if you get too nervous, you're probably better off just closing out with a small profit or just closing out with a small loss because, you don't want your trade psychology to get the best of you. Like if you guys don't feel comfortable with the trade, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have went through this where you guys aren't sure like what's going on with the specific pair, and then you end up holding on to it longer than you should. Like I've seen so many people where they don't feel comfortable about a trade and it gets close to their stop loss. So what do? Instead of closing it out, they move their stop loss farther and farther back, and they end up eating like a bigger loss than what they would have just had if they would have just closed it out for a small loss. So just keep that in mind. I'll keep looking at it. If I don't feel comfortable with the US 30 position, I'll let you know that I'm closing it out. But you guys are welcome to hang on to it if you guys still feel okay about the trade. It's just, it's just in my intuition of like how I trade. I only like taking trades that I'm 100% about. If I'm not 100% about a trade, I'll close out of it and I'll just re-enter later when I feel like it's safe to re-enter. Well, let me just go back to it. So we're in profit. The reason why I don't like it right now is because it's going sideways, right? I like it when it's moving directional. If it's going sideways like this, it just doesn't make me feel comfortable with the trade because it can literally go in either direction. I'd rather it go directly against me or go directly in my direction rather than having to worry about it and not know, if it's going to go my direction or not. But all right, so let me see this real quick. All right, GJ's fine for the most part. So let me just redraw this stuff here. Yeah, and that's why I have such a high win rate here at K2, guys, because I don't take trades that I'm not positive about, right? Whenever I take a trade, I make sure that I'm like 100% positive about that trade. Like today's trade, I wasn't that positive about it because it is Sunday. If the market was actually moving, then I would feel comfortable about a trade, but market volatility is just too slow right now for me to really want to feel all that confident about, any specific trade that I take before the New York Stock Exchange is even open. Because I'm sure you guys are familiar that, the Dow 30 is technically like really open during US session, and we haven't even opened US session yet. So that's why it keeps bouncing around so much. All right, so we're good right here for NZD CAD. Let's see, NZD CHF. Let's move this down a little bit. All right, so that's good on that. NZD JPY. We only have a few more pairs to look at, guys. Once I'm done marking these up, I can answer your questions. So that's it for NZD JPY. Yeah, nothing there for NZD USD, NZD or USD CAD right here. Very cool. USD CHF. All right, so that's good. UJ, that's good, I guess. Yeah, everything's pretty much covered there. All right, cool. So I'm done with all the Forex pairs now, guys. So I'll go down the list right now and I'll see what questions you guys have, and then I can go look at anything you guys want me to. So let's see. Yeah, definitely, John. So John mentioned that Josh's US, his 3-minute strategy looks like it's worth backtesting. So I'll let you guys know in the backtesting group how that strategy works, so you guys can help me backtest it. We'll see if it works. If it works well, then I'll introduce it to you guys as a whole in the group as a new K2 strategy, which will be dubbed under Josh's his print. So we'll definitely take a look at that. So let me go to the list real quick. Let's see. The first question here is for from Neptune. Neptune wants me to take a look at USD CAD. So I'll do that first. Next up, we have short scene for Euro odd. Son of Niso. So let's see. Son of Niso or Enso wants me to take a look at GBP JPY. Nice. And then Tune is in a sell for your USD. I'll take a look at that as well. So we got a couple questions right here. Let's see. I'm gonna go down the list real quick. All right, first question is from Neptune. He wants me to take a look at USD CAD. Next up is Euro odd for short scene. Third is going to be GBP JPY for Son of Niso. And lastly, Euro USD for a sell bias. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat and I can take a look. Otherwise, that's all we're looking for right now. Oh, sorry, we have one more question for Brian. So Brian wants me to take a look at UK 100 first. So I'll take a look at UK 100 for you, Brian. And then after that, I'll look at USD CAD for Neptune. So let's go over to UK 100 first. See, this is what I don't like about entering trades when price is just going sideways. I prefer to take them when they're going directional. And this is why it feels risky to me. So when it does swing back in profit, I'm probably going to close out and then I'll let you guys know. But I mean, we'll see. We'll just see, because it looks like there's a bunch of buy entries that are setting up right here. So this might be charging up for a bullish move. So I don't know. My confidence isn't 100% right now with this trade, but if it keeps providing more buy entries right here, it's probably charging up for a breakout upwards. So that's what we'll be looking for, in the next couple of minutes or so. So we'll see how this plays out. But for now, I'm going to take a look at UK 100 for Brian real quick. So I'll zoom out from this point. Let's just see if there's any zones that are nearby. There's a lot of zones right here. Let's see. So I'll just draw zones where it's relevant, because I mean, there's a lot of areas here where it's not relevant right now. There's actually a huge zone right here. So this whole area is a zone actually. So Brian, I'm going to look back to the most recent entry right here. So looking back at current price, let's see, the most recent entry would have been all of these past 4 candles right here. So for these 4 candles right here, they have a rejection off the pivot and structure for this green one, this red one, this red one, and this red one. So the earliest entry would have been this green one right here. So if you're currently looking at this right now, Brian, looks like it's currently active at this point for this sell. I'm not sure what the sweet spot is because I don't normally trade this, but let me see if I could find an example here. Looks like it might be around, I don't know. It's kind of difficult to see what the sweet spot is for this. Let me just check real quick. Yeah, I'm not sure if anyone else here has a sweet spot for UK 100. I don't necessarily trade it, so I don't know what the sweet spot is. I'm just gonna put like 1,000 pips because that's probably it seems like the sweet spot, like the safe spot for us here. Yeah. So Brian, looking at UK 100, if you took any of these cells right here, there's actually a bunch. There's like 4 cells right there, and then there's another 3 right here as well that just happened for UK 100. So if you're in this trade right here, this looks like it looks pretty solid for the most part, but like I mentioned, it still looks like it's going sideways as well. So I think the indices market is kind of choppy right now. It's not something that I really want to mess around with. But if you are in the trade, it looks like it's, you do have a sell that's currently running right now for this specific pair. And I would have the sell bias here because price is trending downwards. So that's pretty much it for UK 100. The next question is USD CAD for Neptune. So let me just pull that up real quick. And I'll analyze that from scratch. Even though I have the zones drawn up already, I'll analyze it from scratch so that you guys can see how easy it is to analyze these things. Because like literally it just takes a few seconds. Like if I delete everything off the chart and I have a naked chart right here, you guys can see how quickly I can analyze this. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn on the K²SR indicator. I'm gonna drop my market structure right here. So we got a zone right there, a zone right here. We got a zone right here, zone right here. And lastly, we have a zone right here. So you guys can see that I drew the complete market structure within like less than a minute, right? It's just a few seconds. For a lot of people, it takes them a long time to draw market structure because they don't know where the zones are. So if you guys have the indicators, it makes things a whole lot easier for you guys to identify these zones. And once you start to figure out where the zones get placed, you can learn how to do this on your own. Like I can do this without the indicator, but obviously it's going to take me a lot more time. That's why I created the indicator to do it for me so that I don't have to waste time drawing up those zones. So anyways, looking at USD CAD right here, first thing I'm gonna do is turn on the momentum indicator. So we have a bullish momentum right here, right? This is gonna be our bias. We have a rejection from this point down here. We have a buy signal right here. We have price breaking close path structure right here. So this would have been the entry that appeared last week on March 18th. So this position has been running since March 18th right here. I'm not sure if you've been holding this since then, Neptune, but this is really this is pretty much what we anticipate happening from this point. So like looking at this over here, this is the setup for this trade. So it looks like it broke structure, performed a little break and retest right here, broke structure, retested, and then it shot back up. So I anticipate this to push up to the next structure above here, as long as there's nothing that really, causes price to reverse on us. Like, I don't know if there's any news this evening. Let's see. Yeah, there's no news this evening. Looking at CNBC, I don't think there's anything that's really been announced recently regarding anything that would cause the market to reverse. But the only thing that I can see causing this to drop is that the US dollar is weak, which it is right now, right? So looking at the US dollar right here, it's weak. So if that happens, it's going to cause this to drop. So that's the only thing to really look out for. However, right now we still have a bullish bias. So this might not push up all the way. So if you're in this position right now, Neptune, I'd probably move your stop loss in profit if possible. Or if you're already in profit, I'd probably just, I don't know. It's really going to be a case by case basis. Cause for me, I like to, you know how I trade. I'm like very careful. I only take trades that I'm 100% about. And I'm not 100% about this because there's a lot of different factors that factor into the US dollar being weak. Right now, the reason why it shot up right here is because of the stimulus. So stimulus was sent out to people. You did exactly what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to stimulate the economy, right? So it stimulated the economy, pushed price up. But then from that point, it started to taper off a little bit because as they continue to print more US dollars, the US dollar is just going to get weaker and weaker. So if price is going up, that means that the US dollar is stronger than the Canadian dollar. However, if they start to keep printing money, which they're going to have to, because that the stimulus is going to put us into like, what is it, like 3 trillion debt or 1.3 trillion debt. If that happens, this is just going to come down. Because when price is coming down, this indicates that the second currency is stronger than the first. When price is going up, that indicates that the first currency is stronger than the second. So, with that said, if the US dollar continues to be weak, if you just look at the dollar index right here, like one way to do it is you can just pair the indexes next to each other. So if you're looking at USD CAD, you'll just put the dollar index here, you put the Canadian index over here, CXY, and just looking at it from there, they're both weak, right? So you're going to have to determine, which one's going to be stronger in the long term right here. So this might just go sideways, honestly. If these keep dropping, if this drops and this drops, then it'll just go sideways for a bit until one ends up going up and one ends up going down. Looking at the dollar right here, this is pretty weak. It's a strong bearish candle. And then comparing this to the Canadian dollar right here, this is a bearish candle too, but it has a wick from the bottom, so it's pushing upwards. So if this comes down and this goes up, then you can expect USD CAD to go down. So just keep that in mind. This is our bias right here, but I would be careful with this trade because we're not really sure what's going to happen once the US market opens tomorrow. So that's pretty much it for USD CAD. All right, next up on the list is Euro odd for short scene. So let me go over to Euro odd real quick. Euro odd is right here. And I'll do the same thing for you guys here as well. I'll delete everything off the chart. Show you guys my analysis from start to finish. There's a naked chart there. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to turn on the SR indicator. And with that said, I'm gonna go ahead and draw my zones for you guys. So we have a zone up here. We have a zone right here. We have a zone right over here. I'm gonna connect this upper zone right here because this zone overlaps with this one. So with that said, I'm gonna drag this down right here. We have another zone right here. Another one right here. And then lastly, we have one down here. All right, perfect. So with that said, we have our zones drawn up. Next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to turn on my momentum indicator. So looking at this right here, it looks like we have a bullish bias. So we have a rejection from this point down here. We have a buy signal right here. We had price break and close past structure right here. You know, after that happened, what happened from that point? It pushed up to the next structure right here, right? So although we do have a bullish bias right here, in order for me to take this position here, I don't want it to close above this structure right here. So if it closes above this structure right here, I know it's a long push, but you know, this is me trading carefully because I don't want to take a trade here for a buy and then it ends up, you know, if we take a buy right here and then it ends up just reversing on us at this point, if it pushes up a little higher, it might possibly reject from this point right here. I mean, there's a ton of points for rejection, right? So that's why I would personally want to wait for this to push up to here. And then if it was to close above this structure right here, then I would take that, you know, that buy position right here to that next structure. But you know, that's just me. That's me because I like to trade safely. Like I don't like to lose at trading, guys. Like that's why we have such a high win rate here because I only take trades that I'm almost for sure going to hit. That's why we have such a high win rate because I really vet these trades and I make sure that they're like 100% before I take any trades. So this would be the bias for a buy here, but there's a couple of scenarios that can play out. Like price can either push up here or what could happen is, you know, when the market opens tomorrow, when we enter London in the next 3 hours or so, price can easily reject off this point and come back down and then just keep dropping. Like he'd come down here, provide a sell signal, close below the structure, and then continue dropping from this point, right? So there's two different scenarios that can play out here. If price closes above here, I'll take a buy. If price closes down here with a sell signal, then I'll take a sell. It just really depends on how price ends up moving once we enter a London session here. So it's going to be really tricky as to, you know, what direction of price, because this can also just consolidate this way until it determines its direction, right? It can just consolidate. Once London opens, it can either shoot up or it can shoot down. So I'd be careful with this short scene, but if you want to take a trade here, obviously we have a buy bias here until we get a sell signal. So you can keep that in mind. I can just pull up the index as well, and then we can see how it's moving. Let's see. The Euro index EXY with the AXY right here. It looks like they're both moving the same direction. That's why it's going sideways right now. So the EXY is bearish, but it's trying to swing up to the top side. Same with AXY over here. It's bearish, but it's trying to swing up. So with that said, this is probably just going to go sideways for a while until one of these goes up and the other one goes down, right? If that happens, then you can expect Euro odd to drop. If this ends up going down, or no. So for example, if this ends up going up and this ends up going down, then we can expect Euro odd to go up. If this does the opposite and this goes up and this goes down, then we could expect Euro odd to go down. So until one of those moves in, you know, in a certain direction, then it's probably just going to go sideways for a bit. And that's basically what I see happening for Euro odd until something actually pushes price one direction or the other. So that's it for Euro odd right there. Let's see. Next question is GBP JPY for Son of Miso. So let me just pull that up for you real quick. GBP JPY. I'll do the same thing here. Delete everything off the chart. Zoom out. And there is our naked chart right there. First thing I'm going to do is turn on the K² SR indicators. And I'm going to go ahead and draw my zones down here. These zones down here are kind of relevant. So I'm going to draw some, you know, just some messy zones. There's no real need for us to focus down here because price is so high above. So with that said, you know, price is probably not going to come down here anytime soon. And as price continues to move above in that area, these zones are going to disappear. New zones are going to create up above this area over here. So draw my zones right there, right there, right there, right there. And lastly, right here, I'll just draw one big zone since they kind of overlap. So anyways, with that said, I'll turn that off. Zoom into this area right here, turn on the momentum indicator. And it looks like we have a sell bias right here. So looking at this right here, we have a rejection from this point. We have the sell right here. What I'll be looking for here is for price to break and close past the structure below here. Once price breaks and close past the structure right here, then I'll take a sell entry. But until that happens, I'm not going to take a sell. We need price to close below the structure right here because price can easily reject off this point and swing back up, right? There's two scenarios that can play out here. We have a sell bias. So for this situation, we want price to come down here, close below the structure. Then we take the sell to the next structure down here. I mean, we're probably not going to take that full move, but it's going to be like a 180 pip move. So it's a pretty big move down if that ends up being the case. Otherwise, that's scenario number one. Scenario number two is price can reject off this point, provide a buy signal around there, close above here, and we can take a buy from this point right here. So there's two different scenarios that can play out. You know, it's really all about just being patient and waiting for that entry to appear and not hopping in right away. Because, you know, last thing you want to do is enter a sell right here and then it ends up spiking up. Vice versa, you don't want to enter a sell, you don't want to enter a buy right here and then it ends up spiking down, right? So just be careful with it. But obviously right here, we do have a sell bias. I just wait for it to close below the structure right here, which would be 150.092. That's gonna be the price point for this lower zone right here. So that's it for GBP JPY right there. Next up, we have Euro USD sell for Tune. So let's see. Nice, bro. So I'll go ahead and take everything off the chart again right here. Analyze this from scratch. Zoom out from this point. Here's a naked chart. I'm gonna turn on the K2SRs. So first thing I'm gonna do is draw these zones up for you guys. So we got one right here. We got this one right here. We got this one right here. I'm just gonna connect the, all right, this is just one. So that's cool right there. I'm gonna connect this one down here. This one right here. Actually, these are pretty big. I'll just connect one big one right here. And then lastly, this one right here. So it looks like you're in this for a sell right now, right? So if you're in this for a sell, I think you're on point with that sell. So if I turn on the momentum indicator, yeah, we have a sell bias right here. So we have a rejection from this point up here. We have the sell signal right here. Next up, we just want price to close below the structure. So it's kind of risky that you're in that sell already, but I think if price ends up closing below here, which is probably what's going to happen, I don't know, we'll see. If it ends up closing below here, then you're pretty much set because it's probably going to drop pretty heavy from this point right here. Let me go on the 8 hour real quick, see if there's a lower zone. I'm just trying to find the lower zone to see where the next rejection would be, which would be down here actually. All right. So yeah, if price ends up closing below there, you can take another, well, I mean, it'll probably push even further down up to this next zone down here, which should be at about, yeah, 30 pips. So this is kind of what I see happening right here. It looks like you got in a little early and it's rejecting off the zone right here. This is why I wouldn't want to enter right away because you want that confirmation. So like the same pattern setup actually happened right over here. So like, for example, over here, we had a rejection from this point. We had a sell signal right here. It pushed down to the next structure right here. As soon as price broke structure again down here, pushed down to here. And then same situation over here, you know, price broke structure right here. And that's what we're waiting for right down here as well. When price broke structure, then it ended up pushing down to the next structure right here. And that's why I got this set up to this next zone. So this is pretty much what I have building up for Euro USD. Let's check out the index real quick, see how it's moving. Euro DXY next. So in order for this to continue dropping, you want the dollar to be strong. So it's not looking that good right now because this is actually pushing up right here for the EXY, and the DXY is actually pushing down. So in order for you to for it to push in your direction, Tune, you want this to go down and you want this to actually go up. So we'll see. You know, like I mentioned, the market's still moving slow right now. There isn't really much volatility yet in the market. So once we have this where it actually starts to move, then we can determine, you know, what direction it's actually going to move in. But other than that, um, you probably would just have to wait for London session later because you don't know what's going to happen when London session opens. And the next, let's see, it's 9 o'clock, 10, 11, 12. In the next 3 hours, price can easily just spike up or spike down, depending on, you know, what the institutions and banks want to push price as when the London session does open up. So hopefully it pushes in your direction. And it does go in the direction of momentum. So I'm hoping it plays out for you. But other than that, there's not really much else to look at. So I think that's it for the questions, guys. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to put them in the chat right now. I'll hang out for a few more minutes. If not, we'll cut the session short tonight, and I'll be back tomorrow morning for the New York session so we can start scalping some real scalps. The market's just dead right now. There's nothing for us to really do. And it's hard for us to really analyze anything because there's no volatility, right? In order for us to really analyze something fully, price has to actually be moving. So price is just not really moving right now. Same with Euro USD, US 30 over here. Like I mentioned, it's just going sideways, right? So as you can see, price is just ranging sideways from this point right here. So we're probably not going to see much movement until London open in the next 3 hours. But by then, I'm probably not going to be online. I'll probably be back for the US session in the morning, and then we can start taking some more serious scalps, by then. But yeah, guys, no problem. Looks like John back tested Josh's strategy right now. Neptune, no, I'm still in it. I'm currently still in it, but once it moves into profit, I'm probably going to close out because it's just going to go sideways like all night. So looking at John's message right here, John said he back tested Josh's 3-minute strategy on 318 of Asia session. Looks like 8 wins, 2 losses, 1 break even for a total of 150 pips. That's actually not that bad. Looks like Sam over here, he said that there was quite a few invalid signals, majority hit stop loss, so definitely avoid them. And let's see, Short Team said probability of Euro USD price shoots up is more because USD is going to be weak due to stimulus. What do you say, Shawn? That's kind of what I see too, Short Team. That's why I'm not really messing with the USD pairs right now, because this is usually what happens. If you guys have been following the USD pairs like during like market reopen. So let's see, what was the last, I'm gonna check the calendar to see when was the last Sunday. Let me see. All right, so today is, check this out. Today's the 21st. Looks like the last Sunday was the 14th. So just looking at these other US pairs, you can see that stuff kind of move weird on market open. So on the 14th, so like, yeah, on the 14th right here, market kind of dropped a little bit and then it spiked all the way up. So like, it kind of moves kind of funky, or actually, no, it moved up. So like right here on the 14th, this is when the market opened, right? For the weekend. So price kind of, sorry, it's not the right one. Yeah, price ended up coming down and then just went sideways. And then people were expecting the US dollar to be weak because of the stimulus thing, but it ended up dropping even further. So like what Short Scene just mentioned right now, he's kind of seeing that price might, like his analysis of it is that because if price ends up, if the stimulus causes price to shoot up because the US dollar will be weaker, that's basically fundamentals, right? Like when the US prints US dollars, or if the euro prints, euros, their currency is going to be weaker because there's more quantity available. So, with less demand, more quantity, it's going to weaken its value. So like what Short Scene was saying was that because we're printing out money for the stimulus, let me just check real quick what the, how much money we plan on printing out, right? Because you guys got to think about like, let's see, stimulus. I just wanted to see how much we're planning on, like what kind of debt we're going into with the stimulus. So let's see. Yeah, so it's 1.9 trillion, guys. Think about that. 1.9 trillion dollars. Like this money doesn't just come out of thin air, right? They got to print this money out. So when they print 1.9 trillion, it's going to lower the value of the US dollar. So like what Shortstein was mentioning earlier is that if they're going to keep printing US dollars, what are the odds of it pushing up? I think that's highly probable, what's going to happen with the US dollar. Because the money's not just going to appear out of nowhere. We don't have that money. That money needs to be printed. So as the money might not be printed this week, so I might not see we might not see it push up right away. But eventually it's going to push up. There's going to be like we don't know exactly when money's being printed. So what we would probably have to look for is news. So like let's see if there's any news that could hint what's going to happen here. Okay, actually, yeah. So on a Wednesday, or actually this whole week, yeah. So Shortstein, we have a lot of Powell's going to speak right here tomorrow morning. So damn, that sucks because in that case, we might not be trading tomorrow morning. I'll probably be live with you guys, but I'm probably not going to be trading. So he's speaking at 6 a.m. tomorrow. So depending on what he says, Shortstein, if he indicates that, oh, we're going to be printing money this week, then you can expect the US dollar value to just sink. And then this will just skyrocket up, right? So I think it'll really depend on what is announced this week because Powell's going to speak tomorrow morning. He's also going to speak on Tuesday, and he's also going to speak on Wednesday. So for the next 3 days, this is going to be a very volatile market because it's going to push price one way or the other, depending on what Powell has to say. As long as he says it and it's understandable by people, because sometimes he'll say stuff and it's kind of like neutral. Like he doesn't really say if it's going to be good or bad for the US dollar. So depending on what he says tomorrow, that's probably going to dictate, the direction of price for the rest of the week. So I would be really careful with your guys' trades this week. Actually, I was kind of excited for this trading week, but now that with this happening, it might be a little risky for the Forex pairs because I didn't realize there was this much news this week. There's news like all day. There's news on Monday for US. There's news on Tuesday for the US, and then Wednesday is a heavy news day. Like London session is heavily impacted. There's GBP news, there's Euro news, there's more GBP news, and then in the morning there's US news. So I would be careful with your Forex trades this week, guys. Don't hold anything for too long. And if you guys take any of the trades that I call, make sure to use the exit strategy every time. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see tomorrow, Shortstein. I'm sure you'll be on this live session with us tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll take a look and we'll just follow it. We'll see what Powell says and we'll see how the market reacts to it. And then we'll act accordingly because we can probably scalp some good moves. It's just, catching some intraday moves or even swing trades is going to be really risky because the last thing you want to do is enter when price is going up. And then as soon as you enter that trade, it just spikes back down, right? So we'll see. We'll see how that plays out. But, Powell might say some stuff tomorrow that's going to be beneficial for the US dollar, and this just might dump it. So we'll have to wait and see how the market reacts to the news that's going to be announced tomorrow and for the rest of the week. So other than that, let me see what else we got over here. So Neptune said, okay, please let the premium group know if you close US 30. I appreciate your education service. Yeah, Neptune, definitely. If I end up closing it, I'll let you guys know. I'll keep following it meanwhile because it looks like US 30 is like not even moving. It's just going sideways right now. So I'll let you guys know. I'll give you guys an update if I end up closing it. If not, then I'll let you guys know as well. Charles said, yeah, US will never, ever pay off the debt. You know what generally happens? They don't pay off the debt. What happens? They start a war, right? That's just how the US works. Like they start a war and then that's how they get the money back. Cause then they start exchanging debts with like other countries. But I don't know. We'll see. You know how the US works. It's very random. You don't know what's going to happen next. But we'll take this day by day and not really look too far into the future until we see how the market moves. But all right, guys. So I think that's it for today. Thanks for showing up, guys. Like I mentioned, if you guys didn't have your questions answered today, it's fine because the market's dead right now. The market's going to pick up tomorrow morning, and then from that point, I can analyze stuff more in detail for you guys, and we can probably catch more trades. But I think for now, you guys should just probably sit tight. If you guys have any active trades, make sure to monitor them and move them in profit when you can, because once London opens, you're going to see some crazy movements probably. And especially during US session tomorrow, just keep in mind Federal Powell is going to be speaking. So you can expect price to be whipsawing back and forth all morning tomorrow. So other than that, guys, thanks for showing up. And then I'll catch you guys in the Telegram if you guys have any other questions. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning for the live session where we'll be back to take on some more scalps, hopefully. As long as Powell doesn't like make price go all crazy. So other than that, guys, I'll catch you guys later. And if you guys haven't already, if you guys can like the stream on your way out, that'll definitely help. You guys can like it or dislike it. I don't really care. If you guys dislike it, though, YouTube's going to know that you don't want to watch my videos anymore. So if you guys do dislike it, you're probably not going to see any more of these streams. So if you guys want to, go ahead and do that. That'll definitely help. Otherwise, I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. So thanks for showing up, guys, and I'll see you guys in a couple hours.